Welcome back to the Division 2. We are going through a 2023 build that melts everything, and I believe you need to get your hands on this to the best of your ability to have a lot more fun in this game. The weird thing is with this, I've been using this same build for the last 3 years. There's quite a lot of variety in the gear you can run, the way you can set out your builds and stuff, but when it comes down to the min-maxed absolute best builds, you're going to be grinding for a long time. What I'm going to show you wasn't easy to get my hands on, and I'm not saying go out and grab this stuff right now. You can get this really easy if you farm this and all that sort of stuff. This is a build I'm going to show you as something you can work towards. And if we jump into my loadouts, you will actually see I've got multiple builds set up, and I've had these this way for a very, very long time. But I've got a Seeker Mine build, I've got a Rigger gear set build, I've got a PvP build, a survivability one which is fantastic on legendary difficulty when you're in a group. Then I've also got a crowd control build, I've got a general sort of skill build. Then I've got the absolute meat of my gear, the DPS build. The all red DPS build. It is a phenomenal build, and I believe players should try their hardest to get a build like this put together. So what we'll do is we'll have a look, and bear in mind in the Division 2 there is an expertise system. That will go up to rank 21, and you'll see expertise in the stats for my weapon. You'll see it's the number 3, 3% damage. That can go up to 21, so I can get an extra 18% damage out of this build, and that's on every single piece. I'm only expertise level 3, I've not really put too much time into that system. But my classic M1A, just under 500,000 total damage, 3% weapon damage, rifle damage, crit damage, damage to targets out of cover. That attribute right there, damage to targets out of cover, by far the most important one. I used to run the Baker's Dozen, but there's no point because if we have a look at the talent, I run Boomerang. So when I get a critical hit, it's got a 50% chance to return the bullet to the mag. And if a bullet is returned, the next shot has 40% extra damage. And this is the weapon that I use when I'm playing on Heroic, when I'm playing on Challenging, when I run Legendary. This is like the most important thing in this build in my opinion. But then we move over, I don't know why I closed the stat sheet. But we have the Pestilence, and if you're playing Challenging, if you're playing Normal or anything like that, you're on the lower difficulties, or even if you're on the higher difficulties and you just want to build up some ticking damage, the Pestilence is an absolute beast. I've been using this for such a long time. We've got 109.5k total damage, we've got 15% LMG damage, damage to targets out of cover again. That's like one of the best stats you can get on a gun. And then we've also got damage to armor. With the talent, it's an exotic, so it's got its own talent. Hit supply a debuff dealing 100% weapon damage over 10 seconds. It stacks up to 50 times. When an enemy dies with the debuff, all stacks are transferred to a nearby enemy within 25 meters. So it's just tick after tick after tick if you've got a big group within close proximity. But I wouldn't recommend trying to run this on its own when you are on a higher difficulty, and if I remember correctly, status effects don't actually make that much of a difference on the gun. In fact, I think it makes it worse than just building up weapon damage by itself. Then when it comes to the pistol, I've got the X45, nothing special about this whatsoever, it's just a max stat pistol that I've got on the build. But then switching over to the gear, I run 3-piece Providence, I run 1-piece Seska, 1-piece Grupo, and then I've got the Overlord Fox's Prayer Knees. So taking a look at the mask, every single attribute is maxed out. We've got weapon damage, crit chance, crit damage. And the Providence 3-piece is giving us headshot damage, crit chance, and crit damage. Then looking at the backpack, it's weapon damage, crit damage, chance, and damage. Then if we go down and we look at the talent, I run Vigilance, increases total weapon damage by 25%. Taking damage disables this buff for 4 seconds. Then down to the chest, we've got weapon damage, we've got bonus armor through the expertise, then we've got crit damage, chance, and damage, and the talent on the chest is Obliterate. Critical hits increase total weapon damage by 1% for 5 seconds, and it stacks up to 25 times. Then with the gloves, they are weapon damage, and crit chance. Then with the holster, it's weapon damage, crit chance, crit damage. Then with the Fox's Prayer Knees, they give bonus rifle damage, so that's going to help out with your classic M1A. Then you've got weapon damage, damage to targets out of cover, and critical damage. Then in terms of the skills, I run the Fixer drone just to give me a little bit of healing, and I run the Revive Hive alongside it in case I make a mistake and I go down. Then when we head over to the stats, we have just under 500,000 weapon damage, we've got 60% crit chance, we've got 210% critical hit damage. And alongside that, we've also got 110% headshot damage. We've got no bonus damage to armor or health. We've got, let's have a look at these. Like right there, we've got 20% ammo capacity, we've got 25% stability, and then you'll see the weapon bonus stats there, 103% all weapons damage bonus, 40% on the rifle. Then you just see talents and stuff, and then there's defensive stats here as well. So that is the build, and what we're going to do is we're going to go into the shooting range. I'm going to very quickly show you the damage you can deal with this, because it's crazy, especially only being level 3 expertise. If I was to build this up and hit level 21, yeah, it's going to be a lot stronger. So we pop it onto named. I'm going to shoot the 5, so it's always a 5-meter target. And then straight away we've got 9.5 million DPS, which will then go up to 10 million, and then if we just carry on for a moment, and you'll see each individual shot, if we have a look, 3.6 mil, 4.2 million damage per shot. We hit a 4.3 million there. 3.7s, 4.3s. And then in terms of the specialization to finish this one off, I run Sharpshooter, because you have things like 15% increased headshot damage with rifles. You've also got increased weapon stability, and then like I've maxed out the entire tree, and then I've got increased marksman rifle damage, and LMG damage. So that's the entire build. We've gone through the stats, the talents, the weapons and everything, the specialization, the damage it does in the shooting range. That's with the global difficulty or the open world difficulty set to heroic. That's putting the enemy on named, and that's a 5-meter target. I showed you a few other builds, but the thing I want to really get you to understand is this stuff does not come easy. If you're new to the game, you've just bought it in the sale on Steam or anything like that, you are not going to have this sort of a build for a very long time. As I said, I've been running this, I started putting this build together pretty much as soon as Warlords of New York released. But it took me, because every single stat is perfect. I've got the best roll of the classic M1A I could find. Everything is perfect in this build. It probably took me upwards of 150 to 200 hours just of farming for gear pieces and stuff with friends, group play, getting them to drop pieces when they drop and all that sort of stuff. Upwards of 150 to 200 hours to get all these pieces, and that's just farming time. So that's not I bought the game 200 hours in, I've got it. And I think I'm at close to, or maybe a little over now, 1,800 hours on this game overall. So it's going to be a grind, but if you can work towards a 3-piece Providence build, it's going to get you a lot of bonus stats. You get the headshot damage, you got the crit chance, crit damage. Very helpful. And you don't have to run the same weapons. You can run, I don't know, for an example, you could run the Glory Days, you could run a Chameleon. There's loads of different options there. It's just these gear pieces are fantastic. And what we are going to do is leave the video there. Let me know your thoughts and stuff about the build and about the Division 2 in general in the comments. And check out this video if you want to see other content on the channel. I will see you in the next one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching.